beautify a HTML element, or for you to apply CSS to a HTML element, you need to be able to call the name of the element or the attribute attached to the element in the CSS style or in the CSS file. So that's how we're going to be able to apply this here. So Flexbox has properties. We have the direction. This one defines the terms of which you want the flex direction to go, maybe horizontal or in a column reverse way. We also have another type of property called justify content. So this one has to do with align of the container. So you want to align the items horizontal inside the container. Sorry, probably what I'm explaining, you might not get it now, but this class is more of practical. So the more you listen, then practice, that's where you'll be able to get everything. So we have the flex wrap. These allow items to wrap to a new line if they don't fit in a single row. So for example, now the flex being created, maybe just like the let me look for the last class demo did week 3. Yes. Just like what they explaining here, like if the items inside this flex wrap here, the items inside here does not fit, you can use you can actually use flex wrap. Then also we also have order. So this control the order of how you want the flex items to be, the order. Then we also have like flex grow. This specify how much flex item will go relative. So as you're adding, maybe as new items are being added into the flex box, so this determines how it's going to be arranged. So then we also have responsiveness. So when I mean, we also have responsiveness. So responsiveness, this helps us to be able to fit into different screens. For example, if we design a web page, I want that web page to fit all screens. You need to do a responsive design, or we need to do a responsive design. You need to do a responsive design. So that's when you need responsiveness. Also, and you can also use Flexbox to create responsive navigations. So for this responsiveness to be possible, there's something they call media queries. So those media queries are going to be able to reshape our screen size no matter the device. So that's why sometimes when you're browsing on a web page, what's the way it looks on your desktop, on your PC is different from the way it looks on your mobile phone, on your tablet. So media queries are the one that is in charge of the screen size, that manipulates the screen size. And we have different screen size. We have the one with max width of 1,200 pixels. This is for large screens or laptop or desktops. We have medium screens, which is about like 992 pixels. So this one will fit into any tablet universally. So for portrait tablets, we use 768 pixels. This one will also fit into any of the pixels, into any of the small screen size universally. Then for extra small screens, we use 576. So all these sizes are universal screen size. So when you are building your site or your web page, applying this rule will make you have in mind that no matter the device anybody uses, you'll be able to see the web page properly, because if you don't apply this media query, when you switch it into a small mobile phone, it's not going to be clear enough. It's not going to be clear enough. So we also have Grid. Grid is also a layout system like Flex, like Flexbox also. So Flexbox is a layout system, Grid is a layout system. So the reason why we have different layout system is because most of the times there are always updates and upgrades most of in most of all these development tools. They always upgrade. So maybe there was a time whereby we are using a particular type of layout. Then maybe as things are advancing, new layouts comes, new designs come out, or new patterns come out. So that's why we have Flexbox and we also have Grid. We also have Grid. So CSS Grid is a powerful layout system for creating complex responsive designs, unlike Flexbox, which works along one dimension, either row or column. So Grid allows for two-dimensional layouts for both rows and columns simultaneously. So we have Grid containers. We have Grid containers. This is used to set the containers property. We have Grid containers. So this is the way when you want to set the property of the grid. So all these layouts have their own specific properties, when you want to apply them. So you can also actually use columns and to you can actually use column and rows to define the layout when using grid. So so also we are going to build like a advanced student registration form today where we'll be making use of grid also, and also making use of responsive designs. And please, if you have any questions, let me know. So also, right here, I'm going to compare Flexbox and Grid, from here, be able to know which one is much more better. So Flexbox and Grid are both layout models with unique strengths, making it suitable for different types of layouts. Here is a breakdown. Here is a breakdown. We use Flexbox for one-dimensional layouts. Like for example, if this Flexbox works best for single axis, I don't know if you understand what I mean by axis. So we have useful components like when you want to do like navigation bar, buttons, headers, you can make use of flex boxes. So using grid, you can use it for two-dimensional layout. So this ideal for layout for rows and columns when you need to apply rows and columns in your design. So this is best suited for complex web pages with multiple sections. For example, maybe you go to a web page and you are seeing multiple sections as you are scrolling down. You can make use of grid. So they both have their own properties. So the difference in the properties and the behavior of Flexbox and grid is that Flexbox items are laid out along a single axis. It's either a row or a column. But for grid can allow you to use row and column at the same time. So alignment is also for Flexbox, alignment is handled with properties just like justify content and align, while grid provides properties like grid template column, grid template rows, grid area, and gap for extensive layout customization. So we are going to start with the student registration form. So we're going to work on a student registration form right now. So I'm going to create, you can actually practice along with me. So if you've opened your Visual Studio IDE also, we're going to create a new folder called, we're in week 4, called week 4. Yeah, so I've created my folder called week 4. Sorry, I'm trying to close the unnecessary pages. So week 4, I'm going to create a file called index.html. So I hope you're following me. If you also, as I'm writing, if you have any question, please feel free to ask. So because this our course is more of practical than reading. So because the more you practice, the more you get better understanding. So last class we did a student registration form with CSS. Today we'll be doing a more advanced, applying more advanced CSS to the student registration form. So let's start with the basic HTML, with the basic HTML structure. Let's start with that. So that's with the head. Let's close this tag. So this is a basic structure. And please feel free to drop your questions in the inbox message, in the message if you want to ask a question, if you're not getting what I'm doing. So we all be on the same pace. So
Okay, Sam, we have one question in the chat.
okay.
Yeah, the person is asking, do you apply just one query mode at a time?
No, you can apply as multiple as you want to apply. So
Thank you.
we're going to call this students registration form type 2. So I'm applying the type 2 student registration form. Okay. Student registration form. So yeah. Okay. So this is our basic structure for the HTML template for the HTML structure. So you mentioned, so you always remember we um before we start writing our web page, these are the basic structure for the HTML. This has to be in place. Like if you've been following the classes, you know, you start seeing me using this HTML tag and head tags over and over again. So now let's start with the form. Let's start with the navigation bar. We're going to create a navigation bar. We're going to create a navigation bar. Okay. Um, so navigation bar, this is where you want to create your menu, add the menu of a web page. Menu of the web page. So um, we are going to apply a div tag here. So inside this div tag, we'll be putting something similar to like our logo. Call it, I'll add the class here called logo. So the reason why I'm writing a class called logo here is because I want to write, when I'm writing the CSS query, I want to be able to reference this logo in my CSS styling. When I'm writing the CSS style, that's why I'm writing this logo here. So also this is also like kind of like a logo. Call it my site, or call it students. Let's call it students. Then I'll apply the menu. I'm going to apply the menu. So we're going to use an ordered list. Remember when I was talking about the UL tag on ordered list. So we use ordered list when we want to put things like 1, 2, 3, ABC, but since we are creating a menu, we are using it on ordered lists for this menu. So the list of menus will be inside here. So also I'm going to add a class here. I'm going to call it link because I'm also going to call it in the CSS style when I want to apply the styling to it. Remember when I said something like web development or creating a web page or a website or a web app is like as if we are building a house. Where you use the HTML structure to lay the blocks, it's kind of like represent the blocks. The CSS represents the styling, just like we are painting the walls. So right now, the reason why I'm putting these classes here is just like um, I'm trying to reference these attributes in the CSS styling. So just like when I'm writing the CSS, just like I'm telling it to, okay, also paint this section, apply these rules and styles to this section. So I'm putting these links here so I can easily call it in my style. But I don't, let's call it, let's call it a nicer name like nav links. So we know that, okay, is the link in the navigation we are referring to. So now we are going to add the menu, the pages or the menus. How do we call it? So I create this. You can call it you can call it the home. This is the home page. I think I'm doing something wrong here. Sorry, who has an idea of what of the mistake I've made a mistake here. Who has an idea of the mistake I did here? Can anyone drop it? Can anyone drop the answer in the message box? Okay, please can you drop your answer in the message box, please? Yes, Stephen, that's correct. The 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 Yes, Stephen, that's correct. The greater than sign is missing there. That's correct. So yes, the greater than sign is missing there. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So let's add other menus like about, service, contact. So paste this here. About uh, service, contact. Contact. So if you should save this and load this page, So you can see this looks ugly yet. This looks ugly. We've not yet applied styling. We are still doing the structure, applying the HTML. So you can see here we have the home, we have about, we have service, we have contact, we have this here. So now I move on to the registration form. So move on to the registration. So the reason why, like I said, the reason why I'm applying this class here, so I can easily reference the tag in the CSS. So for example, when I'm writing the styling, when I'm writing my style here, when I'm writing the CSS style here, I can easily reference them inside here. I easily call them here. So that's why I'm doing it that way. So we had the form header. Let's have the form header. So, call it the student registration form. So in our registration form, we're going to start with okay, let me ask. Um, I want to ask a question. So what kind of tag do we use in creating a form? Like you want to create a form, what tag do we need to start in creating the form based on what we've been doing from the previous classes? Please can you drop the mess? You can drop your answers in the chat box. Thank you. Yes, Umar, that's correct. We need a form tag. That's correct. So it shows everyone has been following the class and has been practicing because this class is more about practice, practice. It's not about reading. You can read, but you need to practice. So as you're reading, we're applying those things. Yeah. So we're going to use the form tag. That's correct. We're going to use the form tag. So all these things I'm writing inside tags, they are called like they're like attributes, attributes for that tag or like yeah, attributes, yeah. Yeah, attributes. So the method. So the first field we're going to be creating is the name. I'm going to start with like like a field called name. Let me save and see the changes we've done on the page. Let's refresh. Okay, the student registration form, yeah, it's showing. You can see this looks very boring. Without you applying, without no CSS, it looks so boring. Just like similarly, when you build a house with no paint, it looks so boring and it looks so um ugly at the same time. So call this full name. Call this full name. Call this full name. So required. What required means is that when the user is filling the form, they must enter the full name. So without this required, the form cannot be submitted. That's what required means. So let's save that and let's see. Yes, we have the full name field created for us already. Okay. Who can give us what field do you think we can add? Someone should please. What kind of field can we add on students registration form? Someone should give me a field. Can drop it in the chat box. So we are collecting the full name. What else do we need to collect? What kind of field do we need? Okay. Yes, Emmanuel says phone number, email, address. Okay. Yeah, ID number. Yeah, Sule said ID. Solomon said sex. Yeah, Ben said the matric number. Okay, I think that's yes. James said department. Okay. Okay, let's see the ones we are gonna apply. Let's start with the phone number. Okay, yes, we can also use class. Date, yes, date of birth too. That's yeah. So let's do phone number and email. So I'm going to add the phone number. I'm gonna add the phone number. Yeah. mm, So and then the phone number. So now let's check the page. Refresh. Okay, now we have the full name, we have the phone number. It looks kind of ugly, so let's still continue. It's kind of ugly. Um, okay, Riri is saying something. Why not write the full name with normal space between and name? Okay, let me do that. Thank you. Thank you, Riri. Phone number. Okay. Next to be adding is the email address. We're adding the email address. So just like similar, the form group, the email, the placeholder. So basically, these are just like writing your text. So anyhow you want it to look like, so just writing of text. So can be this way. So provided email address. So we have the email address. We'll be adding the age. We'll be adding the age.
Okay, Samuel. I
Yeah.
think Riri is referring to the placeholder. I think that's where he's actually referring to. The
Okay.
placeholder where there's no space between full and name, and then
Okay.
phone and number, you know. He was asking if it's actually, if it matters or not.
It doesn't matter, but it's depending on how you want to, depending on your users or your audience, depending on what, on how you communicate or what they understand. So
Thank you.
they can be spaced there and the space can be removed. So we have age, number. So let's add date of birth. So okay, So we're adding date of birth. Um, Okay, let's add the gender. Add the gender too. So sometimes you can use the thing. These are things we've done in our last class. So I mean, retyping them, I'm just trying to copy them here, add them here, so we don't take our time. So okay, I'm trying to see what else. Okay, departments. Let's add departments. Okay, so department. What else? Okay, let's add the cost. Let's add cost to there. Mm,
Okay, Riri is asking a question again.
Okay.
Kindly explain for date of birth. No option value was assigned, but was able to give us option selection. How?
Okay, so for date of birth, the reason why is HTML5. This is an update from HTML5. So in the past we had HTML4. So HTML4 did not have any tag, any um how will I explain, any attributes for dates. We didn't have attributes, we didn't have values for dates. But because this is HTML5, so that's why this date is automatically able to be generated. And also sometimes it depends on the type of browser we are running on. So the browser also, because the browser, and again, the browser determines the look sometimes because of the browser is running on a JavaScript engine. Some of them are called V8. Every browser has their own JavaScript engine. So yes, we can add where students can upload their passports also, but reason why we are not, we can also do that. Yes, we can do that. Can do that. So sometimes to make things easier for you, because you can't put everything on your head sometimes, when you are learning. I'm trying to give you a quick hack on how you can you can do advanced forms or advanced web pages, or maybe if an idea comes to your head and you don't know how to apply it to the form, like someone just gave us like uploading of passports. But mostly we might not be able to really process any of those images when we upload. But I'm going to add where we can also put like an upload button. So um this is how we're going to this is how we're going to do it. Hold on, let me do that. Yes, it's still the same way for uploading image to we apply the one for uploading documents. And also, but the only thing is just that nothing is going to happen. We won't be able to save it because we are not using any backend any backend language here. Just like we can use Python, but we're not using Python. But if we are not using Python in this class, right, it's just strictly HTML and CSS. So for the image, um, let's do that. But normally also learn to use Google or any other tool that can, where you can do search to help you. When you think of something and you don't have an idea, you can actually easily search on it on Google or use maybe ChatGPT to give you ideas on how you can build something that comes to your thoughts. So the moment this will help you to bring out your thoughts into reality. So like Williams and Sule giving us talking about uploading of documents and uploading of images. We didn't do that in this class. So in that process, so if you want to do that on your own, you can actually leverage on Google or ChatGPT to give you an idea of what it takes to do that. So let's try and put passport there, student passport. Let's see. So browse here. But nothing we actually let's see. Screenshot. See. So normally if we want it to display, we need to use JavaScript. That's where JavaScript comes in. Like I said, JavaScript helps you to add like behaviors, like you want some kind of interactions or animations or something to happen on that page. JavaScript makes it possible for that to happen. So we can also use the same thing for documents. I will put one for documents. So let's say we want them to only um, upload only documents. Let's say what documents should we name this? Let's say cost form. Let's call the document cost form. So let's say and also if you are going to if you're going to upload images on your forms or passport or documents, you have to always make sure on the form tag this has to be there. You have to apply this multi-path slash form data. It has to be there so that if you are using Python to capture the data at the back end, you'll be able to capture the images and the documents being uploaded. If this is not here, you won't be able to do that. You won't be able to do that. At the back end, the system would not recognize it as a file. It would not. So if I want to accept only PDF or document, we can also do that. But for now, let's leave it for generally for all files. Let's save. Yeah, you can restrict it. You can restrict it to any file. You can restrict it if it's only Excel, PDF, Word. But for now, for beginner purpose, we are just using for any document. You can upload any document here. So we'll refresh this page. So no file selected. So okay. Okay, for now, I think let's say this is enough. We have about how many? We have full name, phone number, email address, age, date of birth, gender, department, course, passport, course form. I think this is okay. So right now, let us apply our button, the submit button. Yeah, before I forget. So we're going to apply the submit button and the reset button. So they are called actions. Those buttons are called actions. So actions in a way whereby it will trigger something to happen. So that's why we need buttons. So without the button, the form will just be there. You won't be able to submit it to the backend. So they are called actions. So I'll create a div tag. Mm, okay, this is course form. I'll create a div tag for the buttons. So inside these div tags, we are putting the buttons. are going to be the buttons we are using. Mhm. Sometimes we need to be careful so we don't make mistakes when writing the tags. When writing the tags, we need to be careful. So this we have to do here. Okay. Okay. So let's add the buttons, like as I was saying. So we're adding the submit button. Can call it register. Um, call it reset button. Okay. Yeah, so I need to add the attributes here. I need to reference it for in the CSS. So I'm going to add the class here called is form actions. They are actions so that to trigger there are actions to trigger the form for submission. So so we have the reset and register reset. Reset. So the reset button clears the form, then register is for submitting. So okay. So we'll soon start writing the CSS. We'll soon start applying styling to all of them. You know, this looks so ugly. This is our menu, our boom about service contact. It looks so ugly right now. So we're about to start applying the CSS, the the styles. But I just want to cross check to make sure um the tags are properly written, so we don't have problems. Because sometimes when the tags are not properly written, you can face problems when you're writing the styling, because if we are referencing when we are calling these classes or these references in the styling, if we don't do if the structure is not well, if it's not well properly structured or the HTML is not properly written, it could affect the styling. We might not be able to apply the styling on the specific place we want to apply the styling to. So
We have another question from Riri. He says,
okay.
kindly explain form containers and form groups, just like you explained form actions. I must have missed it earlier. Thanks.
Okay, we are still going to get there when we get to the CSS, when we are writing the CSS. So form group, I'm just referencing them here so that when I write the CSS, it will be applied to all of them. Like for example, just we're getting there, don't worry.
Okay, Williams is asking, how do you check if your structure of HTML and CSS is properly written?
Okay. To check is properly written, you have to look at them. You have to look at them, check them. So right now, okay, everything is inside the form. I'm able to close this form. So this is, well, okay, the form group. Like now for this form group, this div tag, I'm making sure it's been open and closed. Okay. Okay, it is. Um, so I'm just checking now if they are properly together. So when I'm applying the CSS, it's not going to, no, okay, I'm saying something. Okay. So so I intentionally put the, okay, intentionally put the fields inside a div tag and call them form group. So by the time I start applying the CSS, it will take effect on them. So they're into groups.
Zekios, your hand is up. You want to ask a question? Unmute, please. Oh, it's not time for attendance yet.
So this class might be a little bit longer because this is more about it's a more of a practical than reading. So yeah, I have to show you on how you can apply these things. If you're not practicing these things, you can't get them. It's not just by reading them, you need to practice them. It's more of more of practice, practice. So like last class, we discussed about margin and padding. So this body here, this H1 here, nav form, they are HTML elements. So this is going to affect the body, this body here. Where's the body tag? Yes, this body tag. This is the body tag, H1 nav, they are tags. So now let's write the styling for our body. Okay. Let's write the styling for our body. So we want the background color to be white, but let's do something funny. Let me put blue and save it. Let's see what's going to show. And let's go and refresh our page. This might be ugly. Wow, this looks so ugly. This looks so ugly. Like, this looks so ugly. So let me just go back and, so let me just put it as white. The fonts, I want the font, last week we talked about fonts. I want the font to be sans serif and Arial. And we talk about the flex. So I want the flex, I want it to be in a column direction and everything should be in the center. So this is why when we refresh our page here, everything is what? Is in the center. Is in the center. And I make the background to be white or grayish. Is in the center. That's what I was trying to talk about flex. Flex, you can only use column or row at once. But if you are using grid, you are using both column and row at the same time. So that's why I said to understand what I'm saying is more of practicing than reading. You might not get what I'm saying, but I'm going to share this code after this class. When you that will be your assignment to practice it, then you'll be able to understand what I'm explaining. So I'll be sharing the code in our assignment notes. Okay, for currently right now, we're not using any database, so we can't save anything now. Yes, Williams, it takes consistent practice. Yeah. So this is the body. So this is all what I wrote here is for the body. So let me be a little bit faster because I think our time is going. So let's go to the navigation bar. So we're applying the CSS for the navigation bar now. So for the navigation bar, we want it to be black. So this justify content is a flex property, like I explained. Align items, they are flex properties. So I want everything inside our menu or in our navigation bar to be at the center, and I want the background to be black. So let's refresh. Let's see what happens. So you can see now, this is our menu here, the navigation bar. The background here is black, and it looks ugly currently right now because we've not finished applying the CSS. So I'll be sharing this code so we can practice it in our notes too. So the place where I called logo, this one, the logo here, is referencing to this guy here, the logo. I'm referencing it in the CSS. This nav is here. So the reason why we have nav and we have dot logo here is because the nav is the primary element and dot logo is inside, is under the nav element. So you can see nav and logo. The reason why I didn't use this div tag, I didn't call it div here, but if I should call it div, it will affect every other div tag on our web page. So that's why we are using class to reference those HTML elements. So that's why I reference this thing as logo here to apply it here. Save. Let's go. So we can see now the text here is now, yeah. Oh, the spelling of the student is not correct. Let me correct that. Okay, it's correct. Sorry. It's correct. Sorry. So the next part we're going to be applying on is on the links. On the links. So the reason why this is .nav.link is because this is under the primary element of nav. So we have nav and we have nav links here. So that's why we are calling this here. Let's refresh the page. You can see it's coming up little by little. This does not make sense here for all our menu to be jammed all together. So let's do something about it. Okay, now it now looks much more better, but we can't. But the problem here now is this is not displaying. When the user visits our site, they won't be able to see the menu properly, the home, about, service, contact. So let's make that visible. So I think white will go on black. So the white will go on black. So let's apply that here. White, pardon. Okay, now it's much more clearer now. Can see the home, about. But another thing is missing here. When the user comes, the user needs to be able to see like a over, be able to see like a over. So, like, okay, I'm pointing at about, I'm pointing at service. So let's add something to like a blackish color so that when I put my mouse here, it's going to show that I'm pointing at home. If I put my mouse on contact to show I'm pointing at contact. So let me apply that. Uh, so now let me explain this. So under this nav is under the what nav? This is the nav element. We have nav here, nav here. Nav links is under class, the nav links. Then this over, this A here is for the links. So I'm saying that if anybody should move over their mouse on home or about, it should show like this, a background color like black or grayish. So let's do that. Let's save and refresh the page now. Let's see what happens. So if I move my mouse here, you can see. So if I'm on home, it's showing that I'm pointing on home. If I'm on contact, it's showing I'm pointing on contact. If I'm on services, showing I'm pointing on services. If I'm on about, it shows I'm pointing on about. So let's continue. So now we'll go to the form. Our form is looking ugly. So we're going to make use of apply a CSS grid based on what I explained earlier in the class. So the form container. So this form container is representing the class that we have here called form container. I cannot call it div tag because if I call it div tag, it's going to have the CSS will affect other div tags. So I have to reference it as a class here. I have to reference it as form container. So I'm calling it as form container here. And I want the display to be grid. So I'm making use of grid properties here. You can see the grid properties, the grid template row. The reason why it's on auto, I told you grid can be simultaneous, can do both column and rows. Why Flexbox can only pick either one, either column or row. So grid can do the same thing at the same time. Grid can do rows and column at the same time. So we are getting there. So let's look at the form header. The form header is not looking too good. So let's do something about it. Form header. So I want the text of this form header here. Where's the form header? This is our form header called student registration. Form header. This is the CSS here. So I want it to be in the center. The text to be aligned in the center. So let me refresh. So now we have this in the center here now. So what else? Okay.
So you.
Okay. The next step is what the H. Let's apply like a color to this. We have the H1 here. So for us to write the styling for this H1 here, I cannot just write div tag, call it div because it will affect other div tags. So I'll be referencing the form header and the H1 tag on the CSS side. Put this here, save this, refresh. Okay. Did I get the box shadow? So now let's go to the form groups. So now the CSS I'm going to write is going to affect every div tag that has the form group referenced in it. It will affect it. So as far as this form group, the style I'm going to write now will affect them. So let's start with the form group now. It's like the CSS is taking over the page. So we're going to move this CSS into a different page because like this is taking too much space already. So we're going to take it into a different page. later on. So now all of them, they have, the reason why it affected all of them is because they have the reference form group. So that's why were all affected. You see, when I applied for form group, I applied a grid as the display instead of a flex. So now let's also write for label. So for every label that is inside the form group, so this will affect every label. So all these labels here, all these label elements, we have them inside the form group. So this will affect them. So by the time we save them, we want it to be color black, we want it to be center, we want the font to be bold. So now let's refresh to see the changes. So we have them bold, black, you can see. So then also, we need to apply media queries. So, but before we apply media queries, let's write the CSS for our buttons. For the buttons, for the register and the reset, because they are looking ugly. It's not looking beautiful enough. So, like I said, I intentionally kept them inside a div tag called form actions. So anything I write against these form actions will affect the register and the reset button. So let's apply the CSS here. Save. Let's refresh the page. Okay, what is happening here? Why is the color not coming up? Action. See now, there's a mistake I did here. I didn't write the spelling properly, form actions. That was why this was not showing. But now I've come here to correct the name, form actions. So this can reference the button. So I refresh it. So we have the register and reset here. So I can type in here, select my dates, and clear the form, reset. What the reset was does, it clears the form up. But we'll have submitted, but we don't have a backend to submit the data into. So that could be for another class. No, that one has to do with database, backend languages like Python. So this is too much. No, wait, hold on, sorry. The CSS is too much here. So we're going to move our CSS away from here. It's making the page, it's not good to put it inside here. So either we're going to reference it, just like we did in our last class, where we have students.css, and we're able to link them inside here. So instead of me writing the CSS here, I'll cut this out, create a new file called style.css. Style.css. So I create a new file, paste it. So make sure we remove the style tag away from the .css file. And we are removing this away from here. So now we don't have the CSS any longer here. So if I should refresh the page, you see everything goes back to the old way. So now I have to call in the style file. I have to import it here. So I'll write style.css, save. Then we'll go and refresh it. You see, we have the style here back here. So now if you look at something now, if somebody is on a tablet or on a mobile phone, you can see devices. We have iPhone 11 here, the iPad. Let's select iPhone 11. On iPhone 11, you can see when the user visits the website, they can't navigate all the menu. It looks the menu is not properly arranged. I can't see anything here. So what I need to do is to apply the media queries. That's what I explained in the class initially. Media queries help us to make the web page visible in different screen sizes, on a phone, on a tablet, on a laptop. Currently now, I'm simulating a mobile phone right here. I'm simulating a mobile phone right here. I'm simulating a mobile phone right here. But the problem we're having now that we cannot view this page properly because we are using a mobile phone. When you put it back here, this is like a laptop. It looks so nice. So right now we apply media queries for laptops, for tablets, for mobile phones. I'm going to apply the media queries there now, and you see the changes that's going to come up now. And you see the changes that's going to come up. So we'll go back to style.css. Let's apply the media query so that it fits every screen or every device. So for medium screens like tablets, we have to adjust the form header and the form group. Also for small screens, we have to adjust the links because the link is too long here on the mobile phone. The links is not making sense. So we have to adjust it here in our CSS. We have to apply like a flex direction, and we also have to apply like the width. So I'll save this and refresh. So if we refresh the page, you can see this is how it looks on the mobile. We can see the menu clearly. So, but if let's say we are using JavaScript will have made us to apply like a hamburger here where we can toggle to make this thing close and open. But we are not doing JavaScript, we are actually doing CSS. So JavaScript enables animation and the rest on a file. So currently right now, this is our form. We can fill it, we can type anything we want to type in it and play with it. So I'm going to share this code for us to try as an assignment because this class is it's not about reading, it's more about practice. If you don't practice, you can't get it right. That's just it. You can't get it right if you don't practice. You have to practice, 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 and practice. Practice makes you perfect. So the good thing is that I'll be sharing the code too in the course notes. So I'm going to update the course notes. You will find everything there. So I think we've come to the end of the session for today. So next week we'll be doing much more advanced web page where we'll be switching pages. Like when we click on home, about, service, we'll be able to visit those pages. So thank you very much for taking your time for okay, someone is asking how do we make button close to each other? So I think let me go back to the CSS code and show you where you do that for the so this is where we apply the spacing between the buttons. You can see the padding, and we're also using a flex. So this is where we're applying those spacing between. Yeah. Someone is asking if we have opportunity to learn JavaScript. Okay. I think the year is coming to an end. Maybe that should be next year. So Ngozi, you're welcome. So we started with a basic, initially when this class started, we started with a basic form, student registration form. So next week class, we are going to do something much more advanced where we can navigate between pages. You see where we have our navigation here? We'll be able to navigate. When you click on home, it takes you to the home page. You click on about, take you to about page, click on contact, take you to the contact page. So thanks. So I think we've come to the end of the session of this class. Thank you everyone for participating. Thank you. So our assignment now is to go and practice this, what we've done in class. I'm going to make this code available. It's more about practice, practice, practice than reading. As you're reading, you are applying those information. Yeah, thank you everyone for cooperating. Thank you.
Thank
And
you very
have
much, Samuel, for
a lovely
another
day.
comprehensive session. Thank you so very much. But Sule is asking, you talked about Bootstrap last class, promised to continue today.
Bootstrap, for now, we can't jump into Bootstrap. I'm talking about this basic of CSS. If you don't understand CSS, you can't be doing Bootstrap. Bootstrap is just a framework or a library for CSS. So probably maybe in our last class, we'll apply that, but not in this class here. So
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, there are tons of message in the chat appreciating you for the wonderful presentation.
yeah, you're all welcome.
Okay,
So
please don't forget to fill the evaluation before you leave. Ensure you complete it and ensure that your email address is correct and valid. That's the only way you can get certificate. If your email is incorrect, you will not get certificate. We have issues with people, filling their email address with some error. Please ensure you check before you submit that your email and name are all correct. Evaluation. Okay, let me send it again. I will reshare our links to YouTube, to LinkedIn, and to our WhatsApp community. For those of us that joined today, this is actually the fourth session for this course. But all other recordings are on YouTube, so you can actually go on YouTube and access previous sessions and probably start from there if this looks hard for you. I can see comments from David. You said hard but interesting. Yeah, so you actually mentioned from the start that this is your first day. So please go to YouTube. I'll share the link now. Then check previous recordings, and here's the YouTube link. It will take you straight to YouTube. Then go to live, and then you see the recordings there. Okay, the YouTube name, Chi-Squares. Chi-Squares is the YouTube name. Also, if you don't have access to the Chi-Squares platform, I'll reshare the link. I'm sharing it now. Yes, it's in the chat now. The last link there, just click on the link, then it will take you to a tab where you enter your name and email address. Then you will receive an invitation in your email. You then follow the process to complete the registration and have full access to the Chi-Squares platform. Okay, David. The YouTube link is part of the information I shared now, but let me share only the YouTube. I've shared it. Updated lecture notes, please. Okay, Samuel will update it, and then I'm sure you should have, once he updates it, you'll be able to see the update on the previous, because it's actually on Google Docs, unless if you downloaded it. But if you are using the one online. Once he updates it, it will reflect and you'll be able to see the updates there.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, we'll be glad you share the link. That is the attendance link and the recorded lecture on the WhatsApp platform, please.
Oh no, we won't share the attendance there because we have a lot of people in the WhatsApp community and they are not here. So it won't be fair for those that are here, for us sharing the link there so that people that are not in the class can now register that they attended. We can only share the recording. Do well to fill the attendance before you leave, please.
Please try it again, please. I couldn't capture it then.
Okay, I'll do that now.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. It's now in the chat.
I've seen it. Thank you, sir.
When you see evaluation, it's all the same. Sometimes we call it evaluation. And please do well to provide for you to just feel anything and go. We want to really get thoughtful feedbacks from you so we can know how to improve on our subsequent course or courses, and then how to incorporate all your feedbacks into our next sessions and webinars.
All right.